What's he saying, Kaya?
Well, that's right, Desiree. So this is a party as well that has proven to be a force to be reckoned with, especially when you look at around areas around here in Gauteng. But Michael joins us now just to get a sense. So, Michael, your party's performance so far, what do you make of this performance?
Well, it's very early days, and I think it's important not to make big statements on the low number of VDs that have been reported already. But certainly one thing we take from that is that ActionSA's breakthrough has been as a political party that is winning voting stations in Soweto, and is winning voting stations in Stanger in KZN, in Newcastle CBD, and in the suburbs of Johannesburg. And that's something we take very seriously and we're very proud of, because ActionSA has always been the political party that wants to unite South Africans, and no other political party can claim to be winning support across the board like that.
And obviously it hasn't been an easy journey for your party. There was an issue where you had to go to court because of the whole logo drama, because of the IEC and so forth. So you've been able to defy all those odds.
Well, it's a political party that's only 13 months old, and we've had to launch during a hard lockdown. We had our logo rejected the first time we applied. We had to fight to get our name on the ballot paper and go to court, so it hasn't been easy. And I can tell you the most remarkable thing about yesterday is we had 3,480 voting stations where volunteers were sitting there talking to voters about how to find us on the ballot paper. And no political parties had to launch against those kind of odds, so absolutely.
And just a bit of consternation, Michael, because of some of the issues that have been reported, the new devices used by the IEC. As ActionSA, what do you make of the litany of concerns that have been raised by some political parties and some voters who were not showing in the voters' roll, notwithstanding the fact that they had registered?
Well, I'm actually very disappointed with many things about how the Commission has handled things. And I think on the one hand, we must be fair. It was a very short time period to prepare for an election under very difficult circumstances, and one has to recognize that and qualify criticism that way. But at the same time, every election we seem to have the same problems, just a little bit worse than the one before. And it's got to start to change. It's got to get better. If you look at the opinion polls out there, South Africans have a very low confidence in the IEC. And you look at yesterday's turnout, and the real issue for me is when you have a turnout that's potentially below 40%, that is a sign, in part at least, of a lack of confidence for South Africans to go and vote during a pandemic without getting sick.
And just before I let you go, Michael, obviously ActionSA is going to play a very crucial role, especially around the metros in Gauteng. Do you foresee yourself really having a kingmaker status where you're going to make sure that some of the potentially coalition governments that may be formed, where you're going to have a role to play, as it were?
Well, you know, some of the numbers demonstrate a lot more than a kingmaker. So when you're tracking at 20% in Joburg, you're more than a kingmaker. But, you know, the reality, and to answer the question frankly, we'll play whatever role serves the residents of these municipalities, because that's what needs to happen. We need to have a conversation about coalitions and how they can happen openly and transparently, but most importantly, in the interests of the residents. That's what has to change.
All right, so Michael, thank you so much indeed. So, of course, Desiree, he's with ActionSA, so quite very optimistic about what lies ahead as the number crunching continues here. So it's quite a rigorous process, because they have to make sure that the results are verified, reconciled, and then audited. So it's quite a very massively enormous process. So back to you.
Kaya, optimism there, but Professor Boyson does